You are listening to the Marathon Training Series on the Mike White Podcast. This is where Clark, Eric, and I talk about how our training is going and any major takeaways from the last month of running. Whether you're training for a marathon yourself or just curious about what goes through the minds of runners, I hope you enjoy. All right, and we're back another month down. August is done on the marathon training. I'm here with Eric. How's it going, Eric?
Good. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. I need to pick it up. I've been this month has been a new challenge with like starting school and actually having obligations to go to. I know
Ooh.
you know how that feels, but for me it's
Yeah.
been a while.
Yeah, not the school part though. I definitely give you credit for that. I'm never really was one for college, so when going to school and stressing your brain out on something else other than what you have to do is definitely an extra stressor that I don't need in my life. So.
Yeah, but I would say it's nothing compared to the Navy and like the working and having to. I know you've been traveling around too. So are you back in Georgia now?
Yeah. So I've been on leave the last little bit, so it's been kind of nice to decompress coming off the boat and just starting a whole new chapter with the shore duty thing. So it's kind of cool so far.
Awesome, awesome. I saw you had the hurricane too. Did that affect you at all?
It did not. I almost did because I was not going to run that day because I looked outside and the wind was just going completely nuts. It was like easily over 40-mile-an-hour winds over here. And when my wife got an email from my daughter's gymnastics saying that they're still having gymnastics today because the storm kind of missed us pretty good. I was like, I'm not gonna let some 3-year or sorry, 5-year-old gymnastics class outdo me today. So decided to go for a run then.
I saw you sent that video and I could like barely hear anything, just the wind blasting and you could see the clouds just circling around. So good job getting that in.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I've what I've found with talking about time management and stuff, how important it is to maximize the use of time. Like now I'm more frustrated than ever if something like is a waste of time or is not prepared or stuff like that. Because I mean, one of the biggest barriers I've had is been like if I don't get the run in the morning, I got classes and events all the way through the night and I'm not wanting to run. I mean, I guess I could at like nine, 9 at night, get an hour run in, but I'd much rather go in the morning and waking up and like trying to crank out homework. That's just not a recipe for success. So making sure like during the day, max performing every minute so that like I have the mornings to all I have to focus on is running and then get into class. So that's going to be the goal moving forward because like these last 2 weeks definitely, I should be hitting in like the 30-mile range and I'm about like half that. So it's
Oh,
been a
geez, yeah,
struggle.
you definitely need to start picking it up. Because we're within 16 weeks now. Yeah, so 2, 4, 6, 12, 13 weeks this week. So yeah, definitely should start hitting those higher days. Are you at least getting your long runs in?
Yeah, today I still need to do it today, but I got last week, so I'm going to do an hour and a half today.
Okay.
Are you at two? Are you doing 2 hour long runs or what long runs are you doing?
It depends on my pace and how I feel for the day. Yesterday was almost a 2-hour run because I misjudged my loop that I ran. So it was new. It was new to me. I had to run through some construction and stuff like that. So it ended up being 12 miles instead of 11. Ended up just under an hour 50, I think it was. So
Nice.
it was an easy pace. I wasn't trying to book it at all yesterday. Just that was something I was guilty of. Is I would always start too fast in my long runs, and then not be able to feel how I am, or not be able to foresee how I would be 5, 6 miles from now. So take it easy at first, and then if I want to increase my pace later, then kind of take it from there.
Yeah, that always kind of sucks though when you think you're almost done and then you realize, oh wait, I still got a ways to go before I can get back to my car or my house or wherever that is. I
Yeah, I
actually
kind
ran.
of. So, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was saying I ran with Nick Picache the other week on a long run,
Okay.
and
How's
that
he
helped.
doing?
He's good, yeah, and that it just helps a ton to have someone there to like kind of keep the pace as well.
Yeah.
It's nice to
You,
get
were, you,
a.
were you guys? Did you guys run at the talking pace?
Yeah, we went pretty slow. It's probably like it was in like the nines or maybe we're pushing 10. But
Okay, that's not bad at all. That's good.
yeah, I definitely got like I got over an hour and a half that day just because I don't know. You just start running. Like you said, you realize, oh, I didn't plan it out perfectly, so I'm not gonna just stop at an hour and a half and walk home. I'll just keep running.
Yeah,
So
yeah, definitely. So what kind of topics did you have in mind for today?
yeah, so first one was overtraining type thing, which
Okay.
I wanted Clark to talk about, but um I can explain what he's going through. I guess his body's like broken, which I think I was gonna ask him if he thinks he's overtraining because I think he still has the expectations of he ran in college, so he's used to running a fast pace and running a ton. And so now I'm sure he's picking it back up again. He hasn't run near as consistently as he used to, but I'm sure he's still wanting to get that same pace. And I feel like his cardio is way more advanced than where his body's at. So I was going to recommend that he just like, you know, do a lot of stretching, do a lot of yoga type stuff, strength training, take it easy on the cardio and just let his body, catch up. But um I don't know what the answer is. I think I'm confident he can do it eventually. I just don't know how long it will take, for once you're dealing with all those injuries. It's I don't know who can tell you when you're ready to go full force again.
Yeah, I guess that's all kind of perceived pain, I guess, at that point. So no matter what, you're gonna be running through some kind of pain at some point or another in your training. But if you're not recovering right, like I'm anemic, so when I start feeling myself get lethargic, I start getting slower. I'm not really feeling that well in the morning. Then I kind of start realizing that either my nutrition is not on point, I'm not getting enough iron in my diet, maybe I'm not getting enough protein as well, um, or even my carbs. The carbs is a huge one. I know you're not a fan of those, but it kind of all stems together. So if I'm going to have a hard training day, is my diet prepared to refuel me later? Because if I'm not hydrating the day before as well, it also plays a factor. I'm sure Clark, being a runner, he knows exactly how to do all this stuff. But I learned this throughout just trial and error throughout my entire time training for the races that I've done in the past. I never really had a coach and stuff like that. Just a bunch of YouTube videos, a bunch of online articles and stuff. So but I've definitely been there in the wheelhouse of overtraining a time or two, and I definitely feel myself. I'm not able to warm up. My warm ups take a lot longer. I feel myself getting looser around like the 4 mile range if I'm doing like a 7, 8 mile run. So it's definitely something that is more so perceived, I guess, in that perspective. I'm not sure what Clark's take is on that, but he being a runner before, like if you don't remember, good old Lieutenant Commander Collins
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
OSV.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
so
a runner.
yeah, he was a runner, but he could pick it up and do a sub 10 minute mile. Because I remember we did the PRT, and he's coming around the corner right behind Inch Carper, not that far, and he did a sub 9 minute mile and a half, and knowing him, he did not run that much at all
No.
up to that point. Yeah,
No.
he stopped running a lot when he stopped running at all, I should say, when he was on the West V, but he was able to run a sub 9 minute mile still. So your body's still there, and your muscle memory will still be there. He just, I guess, needs to. I'm not sure if he's just running actually through injury, as in like tendons and stuff like that. But that's a huge thing with comes to higher mileages. But that's something that we could definitely try to talk about next time when he gets on.
Yeah, I think it's the tendon and stuff. And like to that point, like how Weps, how he was still fast, but I wonder like how he felt the next day compared to like how he used to
Yeah,
feel when he's running consistently. And I think it's pretty quick to get your cardio up to that level and like but I don't think you recover the same as you did and when you're like 20 years old type thing. But definitely the food too is I think not just fueling purposes but inflammation wise. I've found big time when I'm I've been eating pretty clean, but sometimes I'll have like a pizza or something like that, and that next day that run is a lot more difficult. Like you kind of just feel sluggish, and I can kind of just feel my joints not as fresh. So I blame it on inflammation, but who knows exactly?
No, that's definitely a huge thing. That's definitely you're correct there because when you eat a lot of carbs, especially if you for someone that's not eating carbs right now and you'll go to start eating carbs again, like your body might feel great and you'll feel like you're refueling, but you could cause a lot of unnecessary inflammation. That is a huge thing as well. So
Yeah.
that's good that you were able to see that.
And then the other thing you're talking about, I totally agree with, is like electrolytes and hydrating. I've been taking like these they call them ultra salts. So it's got salt and it's got like magnesium and some other things in there. And it is significant of if I have one of those during my long run, any run, because it's so freaking hot right now. I'm just drenched in sweat, even just going out for an hour. But having those electrolyte pills just make me recover so much faster. And even just the energy level, like headaches, if I don't have them, even if I'm drinking water, like I feel like just plain water can only get you so much, and then it just starts running through you. Like I really am super bullish on these electrolytes now.
Yeah, there's this video I was watching a little bit ago. Guy who was giving it. I'll have to look that up and give it to you. But if you don't have the necessary minerals in your body for for your body to absorb the water, you could just be drinking straight water and it'll just flow through your system.
Yeah.
So your body's probably not absorbing it. You're drinking it, but it's not absorbing it. That's obvious. I'm sorry. That's apparently true. And I will give you that research so that way you can actually see it and understand it. I think it was a pitch for Celtic salt. I don't know if you ever heard that before, but it has a Celtic salt is huge or it's very rich in the minerals that you need in your body to absorb the water. So a lot of people will take a little bit of Celtic salt and your body will be able to absorb all that water.
Yeah, it's crazy like the difference in salt too. Like your typical freaking grocery store salt isn't as high quality, I'm sure, as that salt you're talking about, the Celtic one, or I've heard of like
Hmm.
the Redmond salt, like out in Utah, or the like the Himalayan salt. I think those are way higher quality and better for you. Is there a specific one you use, or do you just
No, just because of the price, we go to the store whenever we buy there. That's what we. I think we use actually the Himalayan salt. It's pink.
yeah.
So I think that's the Himalayan salt. We use that not for mineral purposes, but just because that's my wife decided to get. So kind of just run with it for right now.
I heard that one's really good, like relative to the typical salt, like that is better for you. But
Okay.
and that I think that's super important, especially when you're eating so clean. You don't have the sodium or like anything really in your food. That it's kind of crazy how if you're eating all the processed junk, you kind of get that stuff. But when you're just eating, vegetables, meat, fruits, you don't get the salt you really need. So you got to make sure you supplement. The other
Yeah, I
thing,
def sorry, go ahead.
yeah, you got anything else on diet or anything like that or recovery?
Um, I mean, yeah, we can go all day long about recovery and diet and stuff like that, but I guess we can say something next time. I like to hydrate the day before. If I go for a long run, I'll make sure I'm hydrating, getting I'll put a noon pill, one of those tablets in, let it dissolve the night before, so that way my body's fresh for the morning, and then I'll take some water, and then I'll fill up my camel pack, and I'll go for a nice long run. So staying hydrated is huge for me, and that's especially down here in the Georgia heat and humidity. It was killing me because I switched from running inside on the treadmill to running outside, just on whatever trail I can find.
That's
So
awesome.
it's yeah, it was huge. It was a huge change for the humidity.
I think that's going to help though when you actually run your marathon though, because it is a different beast running outside versus the treadmill. It's going to
Mhm.
be nicer though when you do yours, in the winter. But if you
54
can do it
degrees.
now, yeah. And also like that's something I think people overlook is hydrating the night before. especially if you're running in the morning, because you are gonna lose a lot of water overnight. So like that, I think that's super important getting those electrolytes in and hydrating that night before, so
Hmm.
you wake up and you're ready to go. But any other like I guess specifically takeaways from this last month that you kind of realized or didn't think of before?
Definitely when it comes to running and your meals, the quality will stand out. So if I'm recovering slower than I wanted to, it mainly stemmed back to my diet. Like I was hydrating fine, I was doing my warm ups, and I was running, and I kind of was pushing my limit sometimes in regards to what pace I wanted to run. So I don't like running. I guess my plan that I laid out doesn't have me doing too many miles at fast paces just yet. I think I'm at the 20% rule right now, so I've been pretty good with that. But when it came to recovering, if I was having too many carbs and not enough fat and protein in my diet, I was not recovering that good. I was waking up and I was feeling sore. My did not really feel that well. I was stiff. I had to stretch a lot, and even after stretching, I didn't feel that good. So I definitely something that I need to get better at here in the next few weeks is actually this week, hopefully, is just making a diet, not so much a diet, just a meal plan and sticking to it. Because me and my wife tried to before, and just there's always some alteration to your meal plan that you have that I wasn't able to stick to. But we created a meal for the week or a meal plan for the week, went to the grocery store, bought all the food we needed for it, and we stuck to it for the most part. But for the last couple weeks, the first few weeks, I should say, we didn't really do that well, and my body definitely was not feeling that great, having a high carb intake
Yeah. Yeah.
versus the protein that I needed.
No, that's good you're evaluating that stuff though. I think that's the key thing though, because what's the quote? Like no no plan survives first contact with the enemy. Like nothing's gonna go 100%. I mean, it would be cool. It's definitely possible, but there's always stuff that pops up. And as long as you're pushing towards that, you're planning initially and then making adjustments and then evaluating and constantly trying to reach that perfection, that excellence.
Hmm.
That's I think we got a long enough time frame where that's what really matters. That's why I'm feeling kind of, like a, a dirt bag right now because of my mileage, which I should. I mean, I think it's good. It's good that I feel like I'm feeling this way, and but the key is not to stop. To It doesn't matter. It's what's done is done, and now from this point onward, what's gonna be the best course of action to meet those goals. So I still think my goals are in reach. I don't feel like I need to adjust my goal and just
Hmm.
planning out every week and just what is it? You ever do P90X?
Actually, funny you say that. I was going through my drawers the other day, and I have the disc set that I got when I was little. So yeah, I used to do that, but I don't anymore.
Yeah, man. Well, Tony Horton, he would say, just keep pushing play, keep pushing play. Just like every day, just go in there, keep getting those miles in, and I think if we do that, we're gonna dominate.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right. One thing I wanted to touch on before we close this out is you mentioned that you started journaling, and I was wondering if you're still journaling and what are your takeaways from that so far?
Honestly, not journaled in a couple weeks, but it was when I during the time that I was able to uh, clear my mind up, put my words on paper, and be able to articulate my thoughts. It was something that I was having trouble with before and just in regards to other aspects of my life. But sitting down, uh, kind of not so much meditating, but almost like a meditative state, I guess you could say. I was able to calm my mind down, lower my heart rate, and just get into a calm, relaxed state of mind. Write down whatever I needed to do, or sorry, whatever I did for the day, and it was kind of eye opening to what did I actually remember I did. throughout the day. What was impactful on me? What do I need to work on? And what can I do differently next time? So it's not so much I'm trying to just put my thoughts on paper so that way I have a way to vent, but it's a constructive process that's allowing me to gauge my life on a day-to-day basis and see where I need to work on other areas, vice what I'm doing well. And so it was awesome to see when I was doing it, but I haven't really been journaling. I think in a couple of weeks it's
Well,
been so.
well, that sounds awesome. Are you like putting pen to paper, or are you doing it on the computer?
Pen and paper. So actually, at the end of the first few weeks, I was doing some audio journals and just kind of going over my workout for the week and what days I felt good, what days I felt bad. So that way I know based on my meal plan. This was the goal, was that based on my meal plan and whatever nutrients I got from that meal, I was gonna have like an audio uh recording later that day to kind of go over exactly how I felt after my training session and that meal, and then how was I recovering? Because that was the one thing that I was very nervous about for the high mileage weeks was how am I going to be recovering once I start getting to the 20 plus mile range in my training plan that I have laid out. So is my meal is working basically was what I was trying to get at. So my faster days, I wanted to get more carbs and proteins in me, not so much fats. And in my slower days, vice versa. Well, not so much vice versa, but more fats in me than my proteins. And the audio book, I should say, I guess, but or the audio journal was going to allow me to gauge that day on a different perspective, vice me just trying to plan for it and then just kind of think about it for a second and then go about my day, but actually constructively sitting down and trying to see if what I was doing was working, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And now I bet there's programs like where there's places you could record that even transcribe that into text if you wanted to save that, which would be cool. But I also think the audio, I guess it's whichever is, it depends on the person. I'm really liking the idea of pen to paper. There's something physical about like writing that out. So I'm gonna propose a challenge. I'm pretty competitive. I like to. I think this will actually make me want to do it because I've been talking about journaling for a while. But you want to from now until the next time we record, you know, you can count a day of journaling. I'd say like a page. So I guess maybe a half page, depending on how big your notebook is, or like if it's a small book notebook, a full page. But however many days, you get to count them up, and whoever has the most, I don't know what we win, but have a little
Bragging
competition.
rights.
Yeah, I think that'll
Yeah,
be good.
yeah, I'll take you up on that. Definitely. I need to get back on it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna start today. But yeah, man. Any other big takeaways you wanted to discuss on this month's
No,
recap?
yeah. So for your schooling, when are your finals?
So it's weird. I have like it's almost like quarters. So in October, early October, I'm gonna have a first set, and then the second set I think is gonna be like early December, right before that marathon.
Okay. Yeah. So that was what I was. That's what I'm kind of. My question comes from. Do you think that once your training plan gets, when you start tailoring it to your higher miles, do you think that the studying and the testing is going to affect your training at
I
all?
think I think anything can, but I think it's the key thing is being efficient about it. And I can't speed up my training, but I can speed up what I do with my study time. So I guess in anyone's situation, whatever they're at, whether I think it's key to not just like be stuck on a problem and let that waste a ton of time. Like I need to use the resources available, whether it be like other classmates to help with concepts or going into talking to professors in office hours. Like I got to find that way to to maximize time based on priorities too, because there's a ton of things I want to do. Like I was even thinking about joining the tennis team because I like having something competitive and like
Huh.
some sort of sport. Um, and I was thinking that would be kind of cool to do,
Yeah.
but I haven't even gone to that practice yet because it's just I'm doing all the like the Bitcoin meetups are high priority. The school events are high priority. And I think I need to make sure that right now the running needs to be up there and maximize the efficiency and everything else to make sure I get it done. Because I think everyone's gonna have things that you can say are, oh, I can't run because of this, but it's really like, what are you valuing more?
Exactly. Can you really, or can you not really? Yeah.
Yeah. It's always I've never liked I don't have time for this like that saying. It's always are you going to make time for this? Like everyone's got the same amount of hours in the day.
hmm Yeah, that's definitely a good perspective on that.
Yeah.
So
But
what are your goals after the marathon? Are you gonna try to do another marathon? You're gonna try and increase distances to an ultra marathon, or what's the end term goal?
oh damn, you are you thinking about ultra? I'm not thinking about ultra.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely one day.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I think the Boston. So I do want to. I don't. You know, the goal right now is like a 7:30 pace for this first marathon, which wouldn't qualify me for Boston. So I think I'm going to do another year training and want to get that pace up to the 6:50 pace required to qualify. So that's after that. I don't know if I'm going to be a runner, man. I mean, I'll do like the long distance runs weekly. I never want to lose it, but I got to say, like the marathon training, the pure amount of time it takes is not something I don't know if I want to do that the rest of my life type thing.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you gotta that has to be your life. It's not this is a side hobby. I'm gonna go ahead and just make time for it whenever I have time. But it's definitely gotta be one of your main priorities, aside from like you know your family and stuff like that and your schooling. So it's definitely high up there in regards to your motivation, right? So if I have a 60-mile week coming up or a 60-mile day coming up and I have no motivation for it, it's just gonna be a bad day for me.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that shows like you have a family and like that's if you can do this with a family and figure out times to train, like pretty much anyone can make it work if it's really important to them, I think.
I think the big thing behind that is just my bedtime. When I start going to bed earlier because I have work in the morning,
Yeah.
and I like working out, running in the morning before I go to work. That's just always something that I love doing, and it makes me, it starts me on the right foot. It gets my blood flowing. It puts me in a better mood that day too. But definitely working out in the morning before work was something just for my family because like when they're not awake, I'm not taking time from them to work out, and it's a lot easier for my family if I just work out when they're not awake. So if I have to wake up at 4:30 some days, 5 o'clock to go run, I will. It's not a huge deal to me. Just I might feel a little groggy later, need a little like a 20-minute power nap or something like that. Just give me my time then, and we'll be fine the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's gonna get, I mean, I'm sure it's pitch black at that time and it's gonna get darker too. I found
hmm
as long as it's in like a safe area with like you're not worried about animals attacking you or anything like that, then
Yeah,
it's
I don't
and
think there's anything like that here.
yeah. And I got a light, like I got a little clip light they make, like a little LED, and I just clip that on my shorts, and it's so much more. It's super convenient. There's no excuse now because I used to do like the headlamp, but that's a pain because it kind of starts cutting off your circulation in your head and those long runs. But they make them now where you can just get little lights with clips on them and can clip them on your shorts, and you're good
Okay,
to go.
that's pretty cool.
All right, man. Well, this is a good rip, and thanks for being the accountability buddy in our marathon training. I think we're on the right track. You're more on track than I am for sure, but I'll get there.
And I appreciate you taking it up, helping me out with being my accountability buddy. So definitely, I will. I'll try to I'll keep you more honest here in the next coming weeks until we meet again. But until then, just keep your classes, I mean, your main priority too. So don't feel guilty that you're having your class time. Just don't be upset that you're not making your times. Just there's a trade-off. Just make sure you understand that, you know.
Yeah, and it's gonna be sweet when I get that max efficiency, max performance, and I'm getting both done, and it's gonna feel real good. So I'm looking forward to
Piece
that,
of
and
art. Yeah.
yeah, we'll check in again on next month to recap September. But
Awesome. Sounds good.
see you. Thank you for listening to Mike White Podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Mike White Pod and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Y'all have a great day.